Hello, my name is Brandon, and welcome to the Anomalies podcast. Hello, guys and gals. Today's episode, we will be talking about the SCP Foundation itself. Well, what is the SCP Foundation? The SCP Foundation is a fictional organization documented by the web-based series collaborative fiction project of the same name. Within the website's fictional setting, the SCP Foundation is responsible for locating and containing individuals, entities, locations, and objects that violate the natural law, referred to as SCPs. The Real World website is a web community based and it includes the elements of many genres of horror, science fiction, and urban fantasy. The website also includes thousands of Foundation tales and short stories that take place within SCP Foundation setting. The term SCP means secure, contain, protect. There are also 5 classifications of an SCP. Classification 1, Safe. The safe class SCPs are anomalies that are easily or safely contained. This is often due to the fact that the Foundation have researches the SCP well enough that containment does not require significant resources, or that the anomaly requires a specific or conscious activation or trigger. Classifying an SCP as safe, however, does not mean handling or activating it does not pose as a threat. Object Class Euclid SCPs are anomalies that require more resources to contain or completely, or where containment isn't always reliable. Usually this is when the SCP is efficiently understood or entirely unpredictable. Euclid is the object class with the greatest scope and is usually a safe bet as an SCP will be in this class if it doesn't easily fall into any other standard object classes. Object class Keter SCPs are anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain, consistent, or reliably. With the containment procedures often being extensive and complex, the Foundation often can't contain these SCPs well enough due to not having a solid understanding of the anomaly or lacking the technology to properly counter or contain it. An SCP does not always mean the SCP is dangerous. This is just simply very difficult or costly to contain. The Theomo classes are a bunch of SCPs that our Foundation specifically used to contain other SCPs. Even though the mere existence of Theomo classes objects is classified at the highest levels of the Foundation, locations, functions, and current status are only a few known to a person outside the O5 Council. Neutralized SCPs are anomalies that are no longer anomalous, either they've been intentionally or accidentally destroyed or disabled. There are also different types of researchers, and we can talk about that right now. The D-class personnel are expandable individuals used for testing SCPs, notably Keter class objects. They are normally recruited by the SCP Foundation worldwide and are usually death row inmates, so they're just prisoners basically. The SCP scientists are also referred to doctors are SCP Foundation personnel who research and study SCP artifacts. Scientists also get a clearance level. This clearance level goes 1 all the way to level 4. The SCP security guards are defensive personnel within the Foundation in SCP containment breach. They're also used to control the site as well as guard SCPs and Class D personnel. MTF, otherwise known as a Mobile Task Force, are elite units comprised of personnel drawn from across the Foundation and are mobilized to deal with specific threats or situations that sometimes exceed the operational capacity or expertise of the regular field personnel. As their name suggests, they may be located between facilities and or locations as they are needed. Mobile Task Force personnel represent the best of the Foundation. There are many different types of MTFs, but we don't have that much time to talk about that, so leave a comment if you want me to talk about the different MTF squads. Okay? The O5 Council are the people who have the ultimate control over the Foundation. Each O5 member knows almost everything there is to know about the Foundation and its activities. Between them all, they all know every single secret about the Foundation holds. Most Foundation personnel spend their entire careers without seeing them. Members below clearance level 2 don't even know they exist. Most people outside the Foundations have never heard of them or don't think they're real. Here are some frequent asked questions on the SCP Wiki. The SCP Wiki will be linked in the description if you want to know more about it. So let's get straight into it. How long has this site been around? Well, the site's been around since 2007, but officially switched to an official Wiki website in 2008. Is the SCP real? No, they are a creative writing website and all SCPs are fictional. The Foundation is also fictional. Do you all write this stuff or does somebody else? We all wrote this stuff. They are a community of writers, so like I said, it's just basically creative writing class if you ever taken any. Are there any games available about the Foundation? There are two of the most popular games. One is called SCP Containment Breach, which is a single-player game where you try to escape a facility where the SCPs are hunting you down. SCP's Secret Laboratory is a multiplayer horror online survival game based on the SCP Foundation. And I thank you guys for watching the full video. I have a feeling you guys don't really understand what's going on, so I just thought it would be right now the time to explain what's basically everything is, because I feel like we can start now going to the little, I guess you could say little horror aspect. Don't worry, these won't be like super scary. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you comment what else, or if you have any SCP that you want me to talk about. And like I said, the official SCP website will be linked in the description, so guys go check that out for yourself. And I'll see you guys next episode. Bye.